Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, and welcome to Player One versus Player Two. I am Logan Radio Rocks. That's where you are. And I am here today with my counterpart, my woodsy neighbor to the north, your friend and mine. He's House of Hydra. Welcome to the party, my friend.
What's going on, everybody? It's Father's Day up here. I don't know what it's like for you guys in America here, but it is Father's Day here in Canada. We're just happy it's not snowing, to be really honest with you. We get a 5-minute weather over here. It changes all the time. Glad to be here again as usual. Every second Sunday we're here, folks. Player One versus Player Two, and we're here to talk about the hard topics of life. You know, the things that really keep you up at night. You know. And this time it's sports. We're talking sports. We're talking about what happened in our childhood. We're talking about what happened right now. What's going on? What's bugging you? What's pissing you off? Logan Paul, Jake Paul. Maybe that's pissing you off. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But it's going to be something we're going to talk about. You tell me a little bit about what happened this morning with you, Logan. Let's go.
What do you mean what happened this morning with me? I woke up this morning. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to be talking about sports.
Well, I know, but I thought you went for a walk. Don't you go for a walk usually? That's sporty.
I did not go for a walk today.
You didn't? Wow. I went for a really long walk yesterday because I was inspired by you.
That's fantastic.
You walk all the time.
Normally I go for a 6-mile walk, but I try to go for a 6-mile walk, but I did not go for my walk today. It incorporates 22 flights of stairs. I'm trying to lose weight, damn it. But yeah, so I didn't do that today. Anyways, but last night I did watch some UFC.
Ooh.
I did watch some UFC. The Korean Zombie had some fights, and I'll tell you, it was nice to actually watch professionals fight. It was fun to actually watch professionals fight for a change, because, and like Dana White said the other day, if you're stupid enough to spend $50 to make you holler, to watch Jake Paul not get his ass kicked by freaking Floyd Mayweather, then you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem, because here's the thing. At any point after the third round, you're gonna tell me Floyd Mayweather couldn't have knocked Jake Paul out? That's bullshit. It's shenanigans. It's not life. That is a professional boxer. He could have knocked him out. He didn't do it. Because it's all about the money. And you know what? It's terrible for boxing. It's terrible for sports. So last night it was good to watch actual UFC fighters, actual professionals against professionals go in there and fight each other, because I just heard something that I couldn't believe this week. I couldn't believe it. Oscar De La Hoya is gonna fight again. The man is 48 years old. He's 48 years old, and his last fight, guess what year his last fight was in, man? Go ahead, take a wild guess.
Last year, I'm going to guess 94.
No. His last fight was in 2008. His last fight was in 2008.
Wait, real fight? Real fight?
Yeah, a real fight.
Fighting with his wife in the kitchen doesn't count. Oscar doesn't get KOs for that. Yeah, you know, he doesn't hit her, but he probably thinks he beats her down with an argument. He's still fighting. You imagine living with a fighter that's retired? Hey, can you pass me the milk? What'd you say to me? I'll fight you. I'll fight you right now. That's probably what happens for a fighter.
I don't think so. Legendary Caveman really wants to know who's Jake Paul.
Who's Jake Paul?
Well, Jake Paul and Logan Paul are two YouTubers who are now boxing famous people. And Jake Paul has a contract with Showtime, and it's just absolutely insane, and it's bad for boxing.
Crazy.
It's absolutely not good. But just the other day, ex NBA star Lamar Odom boxed freaking Aaron Carter. Yeah, Aaron Carter now
Oh
has
my
tattoos
God.
on his face, by the way. So
Of
that's
course he does.
that's where Aaron Carter is in his life. He's now got
What
tattoos.
better to
But-
what better to symbolize how tough you are by a tattoo on your face?
Well, there's only two people in the entire world that should be allowed to have tattoos on their face.
Mike Tyson.
One is Mike Tyson, exactly. Mike Tyson can have a
Absolutely, yeah.
tattoo on his face. And the other people are a group of people. And these are people who give themselves face tattoos. If you are badass enough to give yourself a face tattoo, guess what, kids? You can have a face tattoo. I'll let you have it. But
I don't feel like
everybody
if you
else,
go to prison for killing someone, you can have a face tattoo. I feel like that's a fly zone for a prison guy. He's like, I think I can get this. The tattoo guy's like, I'm sorry, I need to see your credentials. I need to at least see 4 bodies before I put that tattoo in. Ink to paper. No ink to paper here. But you know what I was thinking? When I was watching that, the fight, the Paul fight with Mr. Floyd there, I thought, I was hoping it was going to turn out to be like the Rocky movie, where Apollo Creed fights Dolph Lundgren, and then all of a sudden somewhere Dolph Lundgren just snaps and just ends up beating. So I was hoping that Mayweather, he was coming out there just like playing around, and then all of a sudden Jake Paul just like cranked him real hard and knocked him out.
No, it's Floyd
No,
Mayweather.
sorry, Floyd. I wanted to see the craziness. I'm not there to cheer for what should happen. I want to see the anomaly of what's not going to happen. I agree with some of these athletes out there. If you want to fight, this 30-second or ride your 15 seconds to fame fighting and try to make as much money as you can, go ahead. But do it for $29.95 on pay-per-views. I'll watch them all. I'll pay $29.95.
It was $50. It was $50 to watch that fight. It's absolute ripoff. It's bad for boxing. It's bad for the people involved because somebody's gonna get hurt. Oscar De La Hoya, though, all right, Oscar De La Hoya, back to him. Guess who he's fighting? He's fighting ex-UFC middleweight and light heavyweight champion Vitor Belfort, who is now 44 years of age. But he's fighting him, and that's on September 11th. Then guess who else Vitor Belfort is going to fight in December? Take a wild guess.
Who's he gonna fight?
He's going to fight Evander freaking Mike Tyson bit my ear off, Holyfield.
No way.
Yes!
Holyfield?
Yes.
Oh my God. Holyfield isn't he selling grills on the TV network? Doesn't he still have his grill out there? Or the Lean Mean Grease machine or something? Oh my God. Does he still have a mustache?
You know what? I don't think. No.
I hope he comes to the fight in a mustache.
No, well,
Just a duster right on the top lip. You know what I mean?
But
you know,
again,
I don't know. I'm not into that. I'm with you.
they're old.
I'm with you.
It's over the
It's
hill.
crazy.
It's
No,
over
it's
the
crazy.
hill. I don't want to see it. Give me something I want to see, but there's no names. What are we supposed to?
Okay, well, no, there is. You're wrong.
All
There
right.
is, because there are some fights coming up that are finally happening. UFC is finally realizing that they can't just ride this dog and pony show, because if it falls on the ground, it's going to screw everything up. So I think it's coming up July 10th. You got Poirier versus McGregor. Like, that's
right.
going to be an insane fight. That's a great one.
I'm going to enjoy that, but McGregor, though, he better come to fight. He hasn't shown up a couple times.
Well, I think, but that's the thing, man. McGregor he's a showman. It's kind of like, remember when everybody hated Matt Serra in the UFC? Everybody hated Matt Serra.
Yeah. Well,
Everybody.
he was from Long
But
Island.
everybody wanted to watch him fight. Everybody wanted to watch that fight because he was such a little shit disturber.
He shocked the world. George St. Pierre. No one thought he could beat George St. Pierre, man. No one thought that was going to happen. You know what? I don't even think Matt Serra thought that was going to happen, to be honest with you.
Nobody thought Anderson Silva was ever going to lose.
Well, Anderson Silva. Oh, by the way, there's a documentary out right now about Anderson Silva and the lasting impact that he's had on the sports of mixed martial arts. And if he wasn't such a joker, man, if he didn't play around in the ring, he shouldn't. He was that good, though.
A lot of those guys played around the ring because they felt that was it, because they weren't. You have to remember, there was you know this. There's so many different fighting companies out there, and there's some of the top guys in those other fighting companies. Why aren't they in the UFC? Because either A, they didn't want that contract, or B, the UFC is smart like any other business. You don't want to overcrowd your pond with that many big fish at one time. You have to have some reserves, and you have to have things going on in the background. But there were guys that could have been brought over from other. Man, did you see that? There was a fight back in the day. You should look at this. It's Dan Fry. I don't know if you guys remember who Dan Fry is.
I've seen all of his fights, man.
He fought a guy internationally over in Japan.
Yeah.
And this is probably one of the best fights. It's one of the best fights you'll ever see.
Now,
they
UFC
literally grab the back of each
all
other's
of that.
heads.
Yeah,
but they grab them and they just punch. They just punch
I've seen it.
over and over.
I've seen
and it was insane. And the fight ends. I'm not going to tell you how it ends. Fry wins. But anyway, spoiler alert, Fry wins. But that's what I mean. Like, imagine the Japanese guy not fighting Dan Fry, being in the UFC, working his ranks up. It was almost like a David versus Goliath, Matt Serra versus Matt Hughes. What's the other big guy from back in the day? He was huge.
What, Randy
he was an African American. No. He was an African American fellow.
Oh, you're talking about Rampage Jackson.
Nope. UFC 1, I think it was in. There was a guy, and he was a huge fighter. In there.
Are you talking?
And he's Samoan.
Huge?
He's Samoan.
You're talking physically huge. You don't mean a big
physically
name.
Huge.
Oh,
physically huge. He was in the
I've
very
seen the
first
clip.
Gerard Grodeur.
No one
Gerard
knows that
Grodeur.
guy's name, and no one cares about that guy's
yes,
name.
You would. You want to know why?
I know who he is. I've seen all of the UFCs. I got that UFC back when I was like 14 years old. My parents used to let me get those pay-per-views. So I've seen every single one of them. That was the one where didn't he fight a much
he was
smaller
like
guy?
hand slapping
Yeah. All right. By the way, hand slapping Pancrase. If you've never seen the old Kings of Pancrase with Bas Rutten, open palm strikes. Bas Rutten's a badass, dude. Bas Rutten is a badass. Dan Severson, yes.
Can I ask you a question? Do you remember where you were when Tyson bit Holyfield's ear?
Yeah, I was watching the fight in my living room, man.
Do you remember who you were with or what was going on? Like, how old were you at the time?
I don't.
Do you remember being younger? I think I was younger. I'm pretty sure it was a little bit younger. But I remember being at my buddy's house.
I don't remember where I was when the bite heard around the world.
It was huge. I remember going to school and everybody talking about it. Like, it was like the craziest thing. That fight was 96.
96.
November 9th.
All right.
96.
So I was sitting downstairs. Then I know exactly where I was. I was sitting downstairs in my room with a bunch of people watching that fight. I mean, I remember watching it. I don't remember where I was, but now I do. I mean, you say that and it puts me there. But yeah, Mike Tyson was such a beast back in the day. Like, I thought Mike Tyson would never lose. And then Buster Douglas happens in Japan.
Oh my God.
Man, that fight was what like that shocked the world. And then he ends up in prison, losing some really great years, and then he comes back and he decides to bite Evander Holyfield's ear off. Now, here's the thing: is one of the things I really loved about Mike Tyson was the sound bites that Mike Tyson used to give us. I'm gonna eat your children.
I'm gonna eat your children.
He literally said he was gonna eat somebody's children once. Like, come on, that's awesome. Go ahead, Vince McMahon, write that script. Like, I want to eat your children. I'm impetuous. My style's impetuous. Like, come on, man. Mike Tyson used to have the best sound clips ever. But then he started to live up to his sound clips, and that became a problem.
I don't know. I think that Mike Tyson gets a weird pass. There's a few people in the industry that get weird. Gary Busey gets a weird pass. Mike Tyson gets a weird pass.
Well, now Mike Tyson just smokes copious amounts of ganja every single day. That's all he does is smoke weed. He says that keeps him normal. I want to know what normal for Mike Tyson looks like. What does normal for Iron Mike Tyson look like?
Do you want to know what Mike Tyson's #1 quote is, though?
Please.
You talked about quotes?
Please.
Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
That's literally
that's the #1 Mike Tyson quote that you will hear. And like that's what I mean. Like some guys can say stuff or do stuff and they just get the pass. They get the pass.
Like, does he get the pass for biting his ear off, though? I don't think
he gets the pass. Well, yeah, he did. He got the pass. He totally got the pass. If anybody else would have bit someone's ear, the boxing commission would have been like, "You're out. You're done. You're never fighting again." But it was Mike Tyson. So
he recently fought, by the way. He recently fought.
Did you know that there was supposed to be a Holyfield Tyson fight, the trilogy? It was actually set. It was actually set in 2021 for $200 million.
What?
And it got postponed. It got yes, it did. I'm not even joking. Look it up.
I believe
they were talking about it.
But
it got kind of pushed by the wayside.
How did that slip under the? Wow, that's incredible. I
think the commission and everything just probably slipped it under the cracks, and that was it. So right now they've still been talking about it. They still, as of I think it was April.
I've never heard. I didn't hear about that either. No, I didn't hear anything about that. You would think that they would talk about that. That seems like a huge thing that you would want to promote.
May 29th in Miami. That was posted March 24th.
Wow, that's
what they
crazy.
were talking about, but it never happened. So who knows? But it could have been anything.
All right. So when you were a kid.
We never saw boxing matches.
You never saw boxing matches? See, I was allowed. I watched the first fight that I ever watched was World War II, right? Sugar Ray Leonard against Marvelous Marvin Hagler. I was in first grade. We watched it in Brockton, Massachusetts, of all places, where Marvelous Marvin Hagler is from. A little, very, very terrible little place in Massachusetts. And I watched that fight, and that fight is what got me into boxing. And when I worked for ESPN, I got an opportunity. Riddick Bowe was fighting at the casino, a heavyweight
Riddick Bowe.
Yeah, it was, and I got in, and you know what? I was on the Jack Show on ESPN. And so I called up and I said, "Hey, can I get 4 tickets and media passes?" And they said, "Absolutely, you can." And I said, "Holy shit, I had never thought to do that before." So I got tickets for me and my buddies, and we went and we sat in press row and enjoyed the hell out of this fight. And Sugar Ray Leonard walks by, man. And I walked up to him and I was like, "Mr. Leonard, I want to thank you." And he said, "For what?" And I said, "You're the reason I started in watching fighting and loving boxing at a very young age. I watched you and Marvelous Marvin Hagler fight, and it was the first boxing match I ever watched. And now we're standing right here watching 2 heavyweights about to fight. This is amazing." And he thanked me very much, shook my hand, and took a picture with me. It was awesome. What a nice guy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't that amazing?
See, but it wasn't that we did. I didn't want to watch boxing; it wasn't allowed.
Well,
where I grew up in Canada, in BC, it's if you're going to go and see a boxing match, you're probably going to be going to some low budget area because it's not huge, right?
Yeah.
So for us, it was wrestling.
Okay.
Wrestling was big. In my family, we talked about wrestling. I had all the action figures. I remember going to buddies' houses, putting mattresses on the ground, jumping off tables and shit onto each other, like all that fun stuff that you do because boxing wasn't. And it was, growing up, it was the era of the Hulk Hogan's and, Andre the Giants and all them, and Barbara the Brutus, Beefcake, Bushwhackers was huge.
Brother?
Bushwhackers, yeah, and there were so many things. I remember the first time I ever was taken to a wrestling match. It was down in Vancouver. So I remember my dad and my uncle took me, and I brought my buddy with me, and we went there, and it was floor seating. So there was some stands in the very back, but it was mainly floor seating. And after my uncle kept saying to me the whole time, he was like, "Don't worry what seats we get. We're going to get to the front. Don't worry, we're going to get to the front." And I remember, this is the best part of the whole story is my dad was a little skeptical and he was like, "No, they're going to check. They're going to check." We're like, no. He's like, my uncle goes, "Don't worry about it. I have a plan." So he goes, when something exciting is happening or whatever, and if someone comes up to us and says to us, "Hey, let me see your tickets," you guys need to pretend that we're not with you. And I was like, "What?" I looked at my uncle and he's like, you just point to the parents next to you that have tickets and just go, I'm with them. And try to make it so they don't hear. So sure enough, we go down to so my uncle is like literally trying to teach us how to scam the system and pretend like they're not even our parents. We're gonna be with some random kids so we can get up front. Well, this worked, man. They took us right up front. They banked off for a bit. They went back, and my dad and my uncle watched us up front, and we're sitting there with some random family watching wrestling. And I remember it was Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He goes walking by, and we all had our hands out like this as kids, and I got really lucky. And as he's walking by, I remember the one thing crossing through my mind: I can't believe I just touched a sweaty man. I don't even know who he really is. And because he walked by and my hand just like dragged on his back. And so he hasn't wrestled yet, so it must have been like some type of lubrication.
Oh, yeah.
And I just remember,
it's water. Yeah, they spray you spray yourself with water. You get all watered down. Yeah, in the back, you spritz.
Yeah. So I just remember pulling my hand away and like looking at my buddy and being like, cool, and like trying to like wipe my hand off, and the whole time I'm thinking, and then all of a sudden the parents that are next to us just look down at us and they're just like, you're not our kids. Who the fuck are you?
Who are you?
So we kind of just like backed our way back to my dad. My dad was like, how was it? I was like, good. I touched his back. And he's like, why'd you touch his back? I was like, I don't know.
I touched a sweaty man's back, and we were Bebe's kids. Whose kids are those? Those are Bebe's kids.
So you know a little bit about wrestling. And I do.
I was in wrestling. I was a wrestling manager and in the independents, yes. and I worked. But first, I do want to ask you a question. What was your wrestling name when you were a kid? When you wrestled with your friends? We had a league. What was your wrestling name when you wrestled with your friends?
Okay. I was known as the Butcher because so my last name is Boucher, but everybody called me Boosh because my teacher named me Boosh. So they asked me, so we picked all of our wrestling names, and I was Chris the Butcher Boucher. And I had a cardboard made butcher knife that I would walk around with, and that was what it was.
That's awesome.
What was yours?
I was Striker.
Striker. Oh,
yeah.
Top rope.
No. I had a submission move to finish, and the only problem with it is if I really did it, could break your back. So, I had a finishing move. I forget what it was called, maybe the Strike Force or something like that. But my wrestling name was Striker. What's up? I used to wrestle with this kid, Eric Birdsall. Eric, if you're out there, man, I know you. Yeah. And you know what? You were the champion for way too long. I'm still upset about that.
I used to do a terrible version of Bob Backlund's crossface chicken wing as my finisher.
Bob Backlund, that's
Bob
great.
Backlund.
He's from Glastonbury, Connecticut. My friend had sex with his daughter. It's true. Anyways,
wow.
Yeah.
How did Bob Backlund and that get twisted together so well?
He lived in Glastonbury, Connecticut. That shit gets crazy. But here's the thing. So when I was in college, man, that was at the height of the WWF or the WWE and WCW fighting, Eric Bischoff, Vince McMahon. Mm-hmm. And I remember one night we were sitting there watching wrestling, and Eric Bischoff was doing his thing, and I was with a bunch of my fraternity brothers or whatever, and somebody was like, dude, you could totally do that. And so I stayed on campus for winter break, and I researched places I could go for free to learn to train in wrestling. And I found this place called UCW in UCW in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and it was at a like not a VW, but that sort of thing. And I learned in a boxing ring. I learned how to take bumps in a boxing ring so it wasn't a wrestling ring. It didn't have give. It was just plywood and 2x4s. And I traveled an hour and a half there and an hour and a half back, 3 days a week while I was in college to hang out with really sweaty men who and learn how to protect myself and I was Templeton Peck, which I stole that name from Faceman from the A Team. That's his
Templeton
name.
Peck. Wow.
Yes. His name in the show was Sergeant Templeton Peck. Okay.
Yes.
So I was Templeton Peck, and this was my spiel, and I built this spiel up over time, but when it finished, this was my spiel. Templeton Peck, the hardcore manager of hardcore champions, the only mind that matters in wrestling today, the man, the myth, the miracle, the excellence of intelligence, the innovator of information, the pinnacle of perfection, the evolution of revolution, the truth, and a better man than Trouble Man. I got more style than Joey, I live more dangerously than Polly, with more brains than Bobby, and more woo than Flair. If it's violence you want, it's violence you get, because pain and torture are my cross. And tonight, it's your cross to bear. Win without me if you can, get paid if I let you. I'm the man who put the $1 Million Man in my pocket. I have 1,001 suits and the shoes to match. There you go.
Can you feel the heat on that one?
Yeah.
Mine was not that good. I just walked out in the middle of the trampoline to my buddies and said, "The butcher's here." Jesus.
Yeah, no, but I actually traveled. I worked.
I know.
And did this. You know, I started a small riot in front of 5,200 people in North Attleboro, Massachusetts once because I went out to the crowd. It was, and I to warm up.
What logo would you put on a shirt though?
No, it was my face. I hated it. It was my face.
Why?
Because it was the first one was way too close up. There was 3 different t-shirts at one point. I still have one around here, but my face was too close. But then on the back it had the spiel, which was pretty neat. But the thing was I would go out there and I would talk down to people. I wore a suit with the collar over the lapel, and I carried around a kendo stick. And so I went out to the crowd, and this is in North Attleboro, Massachusetts, and I said, judging by the attendance tonight, they must have let the factory workers out early. And that's how I started.
Oh wow! That'll get a small town mad. Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
Pause. Conversation. Quick one. Throw it off. Keeping you off guard. Favorite Mick Foley? Dude Love, Cactus Jack, Mankind, or Mick Foley? Go. Which one's your favorite?
Holy Jesus! All right. I love Dude Love. I got
Cactus
love.
Jack.
I got love for Dude Love because Dude Love came out of the fact that Mick Foley, who never should have been in wrestling, had gotten to a point where he could do whatever he wanted in wrestling. And it symbolized, Socko, it symbolized this guy who Vince McMahon never in a million years wanted to hire, got to such a pedestal in wrestling and beyond wrestling. #1 bestseller, kids. Beyond wrestling.
Yes, I've read it.
That he could literally do anything and we would be behind it. Well, how was it? I never actually sat down and read it.
It was a great book. It's a really good book. I got it from my dad. I got a hardcover cover of it, and it's a really good story. It talks a lot. It's called Mankind Have a Nice Day.
Yeah.
If you have a chance to read it, it's got his picture. It's like a happy face with the Mankind mask on it by Mick Foley. But it talks a lot about him and what's his name? Texas Charlie or whatever, Chainsaw Charlie, and him. When they did back in their, I think, what is that, ECW days, and then when they went over to international to Japan, they did a lot of the hardcore fighting with tacks, barbed wire, chairs, and stuff like that.
Stuff with Terry Funk and shit.
Yeah, Terry Funk, that's it. Yeah, and he talks a lot about how a lot of those times, like you watch wrestlers, and you'll attest to this, where they hold the blade or they cut themselves on the forehead. I don't want to wreck it for you guys. Spoiler alert! If you guys think the Easter Bunny's alive, and the Santa's there. Oh my God!
I think everybody knows.
But wrestling is fake, yes. There's a part of it that's fake. It is a story, and it is tough work, and it takes, and it hurts.
I got chokeslammed through a table by Sid Vicious, and that table was on the outside of the ring. Let me tell you, I did not get out of bed the next day, all right?
So going back to it, these guys used to fight internationally because they couldn't do this type of fighting, this hardcore fighting in the States. And you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm just quoting from the book. So they spent a lot of times, Terry Funk and Mick Foley spent a lot of times living, sometimes in a van in Japan or in a one-bedroom place they would share, just to be able to showcase what they could do. So they had quite the following in Japan before they even had the following over here because of what they accomplished.
Oh yeah,
so
well, a lot of wrestlers, the Road Warriors went. I mean, the Road Warriors were huge in Japan. Absolutely, you thought they were huge here. They were huge in Japan. But here's the thing: you're from Canada. You're from Canada. You had the legacy that none of us really got to see.
Yeah.
Stampede Wrestling.
Yes,
Stampede Wrestling. The Heart. All the Hearts came from Stampede. That was Stu Hart, Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Hell, he's part of the family because one of the daughters married him. Literally, the whole Hart family is involved in wrestling because there's like 9 kids. All the sons were wrestlers and all the daughters married wrestlers. It's absolutely crazy. But did you ever watch that growing up? Did you get some of that?
Yeah, we got Bret Hart, Vancouver. We would get a lot of. He would be the Hart Foundation. Jim the Anvil Neidhart would be there a lot. Owen Hart would always be around. Bret would come around to the big events, but like if you didn't get a Monday Night Raw, Monday Night Raw didn't happen a lot in BC. When it did happen, it happened in places in Vancouver. It happened in Toronto. Raw's War happened in Toronto a lot. That was their main stage. The problem was that the arenas weren't that big in Canada. That's what they always, the claim to fame was. But the Toronto arena was a lot bigger, they said. But we used to get what was the Wednesday night one? Can't remember what they would play on Wednesday. It's not SmackDown. It was when Raw's War was going on. They had a Wednesday thing. Anyway, so that would come and you'd get those off. I don't want to call them the B list wrestlers, but you would get maybe a couple celebrities. You know who would fight a lot in Canada? Edge.
Yeah,
because he's from Toronto.
Right.
So we got to see a lot of Edge there. So, and then his brother, obviously Christian, and then Dwayne The Rock Johnson's from Canada. So I think isn't he? Isn't Dwayne from Canada, or he has something to do with Canada? He has no. He played in Canada football, Canadian football. Yeah. That's what it was. He came over and played in Canadian football. That's what it was.
All right, there you go. Because he's not Canadian.
No, I was thinking about someone else. But yeah, I know he had something to do with Canada where he was during sports times. But in Canada, we have hockey. That's our gig. Everybody knows we have hockey. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Cold, we play hockey. It's warm, we play hockey. You guys, wrestling is a big part. Like, did you ever get a chance to come up to Canada and be a part of the wrestling scene up here at all?
No.
When you were traveling?
No. I did the Northeast heavily, and New York Northeast, and a little bit. The farthest down I made it was like South Carolina. So it was like South Carolina up to Maine. I went all the way to Maine and all of New York and Ohio. I did some work in Ohio as well.
Did you ever get Canadian wrestlers that came down to see you guys to like try out and stuff like that?
I was a wrestling manager, man, and so I moved around a bit. My biggest thing that I got to do was I worked with this guy, Delicious Dave Vicious. He had the look, he had the finishing move, the whole thing, man. He got his tryout. And I got to talk with Jim Cornette about me possibly doing stuff. But this was back when they only used valets. That and if for the uninitiated, the neophytes, a valet is basically a woman wrestling manager. And so Jim Cornette joked with me if I got breast implants, he would get me a gig. And I'm pretty sure that if I did get breast implants, he would have indeed got me a show with them.
I would have watched it.
But needless to say, Delicious Dave Vicious went out one day in the snow to get his mail down a very long driveway, and he passed down in the snow and died.
Wow.
Yeah, he had just
that was a left-hand turn. I didn't see that coming through the story.
Yeah, he was just about to go. He was just about to go to the WWE too. He had just had his tryout. They liked it, and to such a point that one of the big wrestlers, I'm not going to mention who, but ended up basically stealing his finishing move because it was such a great finishing move.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Do you know who actually I was watching a thing? I watch a lot about Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Well, yeah. Well, A&E must have been bought
I'm
by Titan Entertainment the other day. Titan Entertainment is the WWE basically, because the A&E has a lot of wrestling content on it right now. They just had a big thing about Mick Foley, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, even Booker T of all people got
Booker. I saw, yeah.
And they're all good. All of the documentaries are good. But you guys in Canada, you were saying that you guys did hockey. Now my whole family's from Buffalo, New York. So we're hockey initiated. Like I think I've mentioned this to you before. I still think my grandmother has the greatest quote of all time about hockey. But my grandmother loved Hulk Hogan, by the way, because my grandmother used to walk the beach right by where Hulk Hogan's condo was, and he used to walk the beach. And Hulk Hogan was always very nice to my grandmother and would say good morning to good morning, ma'am. He would say good morning, ma'am, to my grandmother. My grandmother's a little, 5-foot woman. So my grandmother would always say that Hulk Hogan is such a nice boy. But my grandmother introduced me to hockey, and I said Nana. We called her Nana. I said, Nana, why do you love hockey so much? What is it about hockey? And she goes, you take two men the size of football players and you put them on a thin piece of metal and they suddenly become graceful. And
It's the truth.
I just thought that was the most amazing way. Even as a kid, I understood that it was an amazing way to describe hockey. And my grandmother used to play the video game Blades of Steel with me that had fighting in it. Just because it was hockey. And she didn't like the fighting, but she used to play Blades of Steel with me. Grandma would play Blades of Steel, man.
Grandma would play Blades of Steel. We used to play it all the time. Obviously, hockey big in our family growing up. Every Saturday night, sitting watching some hockey, trying to get a period or two in before you had to go to bed. Uncles, aunts, everything, family get-togethers, them talking about hockey, them seeing what was going on, who was getting traded, looking up to coaches. Like back then, you knew coaches. I know in Canada you did. You knew who the coaches were. You knew who good guys were, and you had such a high level of respect for the game, and you played it. Growing up in BC, I don't know if I told you this story before, but we played a lot of street hockey. Actually, the first time I ever smoked weed is tied into hockey.
Smoke weed every day.
I love it. So, quick story about that. Back in the day, street hockey, you had sticks. Boom, you'd slide on a new blade, right? So you'd chop the end of your hockey stick off when the wood one broke, and you'd slide a plastic thing over, and you'd get a screw, and you'd put it in. And usually it came with a screw. So I remember the screw did not come with this one. I broke my stick and I had to put it on a new thing. So I met my friend. I'm not going to use his name. It rhymes with Byler. It's not Tyler. Okay, it's Tyler. So I'm at Tyler's place and I said, we got to go to your garage. I need a screw. So he goes, okay. So we go into it. And you know those, when you're a kid, those little trays that you pull out that has like the screws in them? And it has like, razor blades, whatever, nails, all that kind of shit. So we're pulling those trays out looking for a screw, and all of a sudden,
weed in one of them.
Roaches. We're talking the mother load, like 20 roaches. What is this? Well, guess what's coming with us? Not only is this coming with us, hockey's done now, but we had to put that. So we did get a screw, we did get the power drill, and there was no cordless back then. You had to go get a plug-in, find a wall. So we've got a little area set up, and we're looking at these roaches. I'm trying to put the stick together, and finally we figure out what it is. Now we're on the hunt for a lighter. Well, there's no lighter, so we got to find matches. So we get our matches, we get all of our stuff, and we go back to the playground there, or wherever we're playing hockey. And I just remember that's how I tie. That's how much hockey means to Canadians. You tie your hockey with your marijuana. It just happened. I couldn't believe it. And ever since that day, I was hooked. So thank you, hockey. You brought me together. How did you play? Did you play a lot of street hockey?
Yeah, we played every day after school. Every day after school,
like
I played street hockey.
Rollerblades or no rollerblades?
Rollerblades. Rollerblades. Every
Did you
day.
use you use skates or actual rollerblades? Were you the guy with the four wheels? like that were side by side, like roller skates, like the ladies ones
No, no one did that. What planet are you from, man?
with the brake on the front. I don't know. I
No,
just think it'd be funny
No
to
one
see
did.
someone
No,
do
no,
that.
no one did that. No one did that. No,
I had Bauer.
we used to play every day after school for a couple years. Yeah, I had a rival. His name was Mike Miller. I had blood on my stick from him. We definitely played we played a lot. And I remember Mike Miller one time, he had to walk, we all walked home from school because we lived less than 2 miles. This is in like 6th grade. And or 7th grade or 8th grade, something like that. And he walked home and I had a new BB gun, one of those handgun ones. And he started talking shit to me about one of the hockey games as he watched me like put a fresh CO2 in, load the thing, and he's just sitting there talking shit to me, and he's still talking shit, and I'm like, I finished it, and then I cocked it, and he was still talking shit, and I looked at him and I was like, really? This is how it's gonna go?
Yeah,
And I
he's
just
gonna keep talking shit.
and I just unloaded 20 BBs into this freaking kid. He was wearing jeans. He was fine. But yeah, so we played every day after school, man. I loved hockey. Absolutely loved playing hockey. And I grew up going to the Boston Garden. My dad played hockey growing up because he was from Buffalo, New York. So he played hockey. My grandmother loved hockey. Hockey was definitely something that we loved. And as I got older, since I had such a refined respect for hockey players, when I ran the nightclub in Hartford, the Brickyard Cafe, we have the Wolfpack, the Hartford Wolfpack, who are the Rangers affiliate here. So those, hockey players are the coolest sports figures that you'll meet because they're regular guys. So I've hung out and spent a lot of time hanging out with hockey players, drinking, partying, having fun, and just sitting and watching hockey games as well. And so hockey has had a profound effect on my life as an American. And I'm very, very glad that this year I'm finally back into watching hockey again. The playoffs have been amazing. I know you've been watching.
My Montreal Canadiens are. I was born in BC, but where we're from, when you're brought up on a hockey team, it doesn't matter where you're from. Your family just they get into it, right? And that was the thing. It was Montreal all the way. So wherever we lived, if we lived in BC, we always if Montreal played Vancouver, you want them to get a tie, but then you'd want Montreal to win. So everybody gets a point, but Montreal gets 2. So then when we moved up to Edmonton, it was the same thing. If Montreal played Edmonton, you want them to tie and then Montreal to win. But this season, I've never one sports team I've never left my whole life. Football, I'm not a big football guy, but I like watching football.
You love the Rough Riders, right? The Rough Riders?
No, I don't like the Rough Riders.
Every single
Everybody
team from
loves
Canada
it.
is called the
CFL
Rough
doesn't
Riders?
count, yeah. My brother-in-law played in the CFL 11 years.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
What position?
Offensive center.
Oh, man, he's one of those guys. Oh, he grinded it out.
He's 6'6".
Jesus.
And he's a big boy.
Yeah, no, I figured he was
He played 11 years. He played in Hamilton,
the Rough Riders.
BC, and Edmonton. No,
Rough Riders
Saskatchewan.
and the Rough Riders.
Saskatchewan is the Rough Riders.
No, the BC Rough Riders, the Edmonton Rough Riders, and the Saskatchewan Rough
Oh,
Riders.
you just call them all Rough Riders.
The Toronto Rough Riders.
Yeah.
The Quebec has a team too. They're called the Fuck Off Rough Riders.
Yeah, the Fuck Off Rough Riders. Yeah, we're not part of your Rough Riders. We are our own Rough Riders.
It's just you football.
But so he plays. He played for 11 years in there, so it's really awesome. I have his jersey and all that. I have it. I gotta get it hung up still. But it was kind of cool seeing. We got to go down to when he was dating my sister before he married her. We would go down to his games and we get to walk on the field and stuff like that.
Ooh,
but still, it goes back to hockey. Yeah. It always has, always will. So we live our life by, right? Even if you don't play hockey, hockey seems to be quite a big thing. Even my son, he'll be sitting there and hockey comes on the TV and he's like, hockey? I'm like, hell yeah, buddy. I hope he plays hockey. I don't know. Do you skate or do you just play roller hockey?
All right, here's the thing. I can skate, but I only skied once, and and I never got down to being able to learn how to stop on skis, so I never learned how to stop on skates properly. I can't do the stop. I couldn't stop that well, but I still played some ice hockey. I just had trouble stopping. But what was good for me is I could do crossovers and I could skate backwards and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. So you just didn't have the confidence to do the skate stop.
Yeah, but I played a lot on lakes, so it didn't matter. I didn't have boards. I just kind of
Keep going.
You know what? I didn't
going.
have the confidence. I could skate. I just didn't have the confidence because on rollerblades you didn't really do a skate stop. So you know.
No,
what?
you did like a weird slidey carve.
Yeah.
On rollerblades.
And I
or
kinda-
like you kind of I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
So yeah.
Yeah, you could do a toe drag.
I toe dragged the shit out of it, man. I made
keep changing that front wheel.
I made that toe drag famous, man.
Yeah, I used to do the T-bar drag.
Oh yeah, the T-bar. All right.
Yeah, the T-bar drag was a good one. But I played. You know what's funny is went a whole bunch of years without playing hockey, right? So this was probably, I'm gonna say, 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. Someone asked me, "Hey, do you want to come play ball hockey at the gym?"
Oh Jesus.
I said, yeah, I'll come play ball hockey. And I was drinking still at the time. I was really good at it too. So you know, I throw on the running shoes, and they're not even. I don't even like tie them up tight. I'll make that the classic like lazy guy that's like, oh yeah, this will work. I think I even showed up in jeans. Other people are wearing shorts and like a jersey. I've got jeans and a t-shirt on, like an old Metallica Ride the Lightning t-shirt. Open toe dad shoes. Like, you know, just like not prepared at all. And the guy's like looks at me and goes, when do you want to get changed? I kind of look at him and I was like, yeah. No, I just see where you guys are dropping off my gear. He's like, oh, you're just coming to put your stick down? Then you're going to go get changed? And I was like, yeah, just put my stick down. Let you guys know I'm here. So I go back to my car. And I'm like, okay, what the hell? What do I got in here? So I'm looking for anything that I could possibly wear. And I'm like, fuck it. I don't have shorts. The closest thing I can do is I can cut my shorts, make a set of Daisy Dukes or David Dukes, whatever you call them. And I could run in jean shorts, but I was like, that's worse than wearing full jeans. So I wore jeans. I left the Ride the Lightning t-shirt on, but I had an old pair of running shoes that I found in there. And so I could tie, you know, you get them real tight. So you mean business. Like I'm talking like where your feet are probably throbbing, like they're tight. Those things aren't coming off. So I put those things on, and they're not even running shoes, they're skate shoes. But I made them so tight that they kind of had like a little bit of a V up by the tongue. So it was like, you know, I'm trying to play an optical illusion, a little magic eye on them. So I get back to the gym, the guy's like, oh, I thought you got changed. I was like, yeah, I just put my, and I cannot believe I said this. I just said, yeah, I just put my hockey jeans on.
Hockey jeans?
I thought it was just a fun little scrimmage between adults. No, that was the longest 2.5 hours of my life, and I'll tell you right now, I just cut them jeans off and I just got rid of them when I was done because they were sweaty. Holy. But it's weird how you think nowadays you can do something that you used to be able to do. I think the only thing I can do nowadays that I used to be able to do is golf. I can't.
I don't.
Maybe shoot 21 in basketball.
I own a skateboard, but I don't, like, one of my friends, he's like 27 or whatever, and he still skates, and there's a skate park right around the corner, and he'll be like, hey man, you want, and I'm like, absolutely not, that's how you break a hip.
That's a shattered ankle written all over it.
Not going to the skate park with you, bud. Not gonna happen. I have a snowboard, I have the boots, I could go. Yeah, I don't have any interest. You know why? It's too cold. It's too cold now. I don't want to do it. I will play golf. I've got golf clubs. I will play golf. And you know what? I wouldn't mind playing a little bit of basketball or something like that, but I haven't done it in years. Growing up, I used to be really extremely good at tennis at one point. I had famous coaches and shit like that. You know, like they were expecting me to go to college.
Did you wear a sweatband?
No, I never wore a sweatband. And you know what? To this day, I still regret it. I still regret that decision.
I think you should have.
I think I could have pulled off the sweatband really, really well.
No one's stopping you now.
You know what? My hairline is. You know.
Wouldn't that help it?
I would have to grow my hair back out to have the sweatband to be able to have the over it.
The palm tree look? Palm tree look. Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying.
You want a good palm tree. Yeah,
exactly.
No coconuts.
I used to wear
a
visor when I was on the radio, man. I was known for wearing a visor all the time, everywhere. Hey, Ahoy Division.
Hey, Ahoy.
Hey.
Look at that. You took both of our attentions right off the podcast. The
Yeah,
fight comes in. It's
right.
just instantly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think the outfit also makes it. I've seen some, like, you look at boxing shorts. You know, some with the colors and shit all over them, and then you go to the UFC and you just see billboards all over their asses of Condom Depot and everything like that. Like, God. But I think the most classy people that you could say are, I have to go back to, it's hockey
that's not a
players.
thing
They
anymore.
show up. I know it's not anymore, but
No.
hockey players show up to their games in a suit, and
Yeah.
they leave in a suit.
They
What
do.
other sport does that? What other sport does that?
They used to, so they used to rent out my small bar after the games, and they would all come in the suits. They were great to have around because
Yeah.
they tipped well, they were polite, and then they would have the, so they would rent out my side bar, and they would have the rookies dress in drag and bartend. It was great. Yeah.
Sounds great.
I mean,
That sounds exactly what like hockey players want to see
that's just
after a
fun.
long game.
I mean, what don't you want to see about that? A bunch of dudes in suits and with a couple dudes in skirts serving drinks. It was awesome, and they just
Yeah, Hooter shooters, anybody?
yeah, exactly. You know, they're just drinking Jägermeister and beers, man. You know,
Yeah.
cold as ice.
Yeah, testicle drop shot for you, gentlemen. What? No thanks. I don't know. Here's another question, quick one.
Mm-hmm.
When you taped your hockey stick for street hockey, were you the type of guy that put the giant knob on the end?
No.
Thank God.
It wasn't giant. It wasn't giant.
Okay.
I did have a slight knob. I used to use.
I'm sorry. What was that?
It had a slight
Okay.
knob. Well, that's what she said. At
Thank you.
least I mean, she
Okay,
did.
thank you.
She did.
Yeah.
I was the guy who took the tape and then rolled it up and made the
Grip?
around for the grip. So
Yeah, you made the top grip.
So it went down and then I taped over that, so it had that little roll of like almost string going through it. I had that. Yeah. I always had for a while I would grip down here too, where for my shot I would have two things of tape. I stopped in the middle, so it wasn't like a long thing. You know what? I probably have a pretty awkward looking hockey stick, come to think of it.
You know what we used to do? Here's a little trick for you.
Yeah,
You know,
please.
leisure mind. Remember, you're kids. You try to pick teams.
Yeah.
You'd all throw your hockey sticks in the center. One guy would go to the center, close his eyes, pick sticks, and throw them left to right.
Yeah, we didn't really do that, but go ahead.
Okay, well, we did that. That's okay. So here, I'll explain to everybody. Whoever doesn't know, what you do is everybody throws their sticks in the middle. So you got 12 sticks or whatever, or 10 sticks, and we got goalies. So, anyways, one guy goes to the center, closes his eyes, and then you grab sticks and you just chuck them to the right and then to the left, an even amount. So what me and my buddies used to do, we used to put a small piece of tape on the shaft. So you would if you would get the pick, you close your eyes, go run your hand on the shaft. If you felt the tape, you threw it to the left-hand side, and we would stack the teams. God, we're assholes, hey? You know what I mean? That's how you do that's how you do it in Canada. And Richard used to do it too. I used to also have 2 fingers of tape on the end of my blade. That's all I would tape, is 2 little fingers of tape. So when the ball hit it, it stopped at that tape, but I would run the tape backwards so it was a little bit sticky. Oh yeah, there's tons of little shit that we used to do. Or I remember one time, my buddy, he wasn't looking. He went inside to the house, and we had this. I grabbed a wax from a candle, and I remember I heated up the wax and I dripped it on the end of his stick, and I remember I coated the blade of the stick with candle wax. So every time the guy took a shot, the ball was just like, phew. Every time he got a pass, he was like, "Ugh." Like the dumb shit we used to do as kids to each other. But what's your favorite position? I love playing net. I played net a lot.
Oh, really? You know, it takes
Yeah, I
a
love
special
net.
it takes a special kind of idiot to play net. I appreciate
know.
that about you. It does. It
Yeah.
takes a special kind of idiot to play net. No, I used to play right wing.
Right wing.
But I wasn't very good at it, so I like to play defense.
Okay. Do you remember Road Warrior pads? Road Warrior
No, I mean,
coming up?
no.
Oh wow. There was a brand of sporting equipment called Road Warrior. It was very big.
I wonder if they ever got a cease and desist from the Road Warriors.
It's possible. But the pads back then when we were kids, they were like little pieces of foam. there was nothing. And you had like a cardboardish blocker. Like, God, we didn't have great equipment. And then, so were you tennis ball, hockey ball, or plastic puck? What did you use?
Plastic puck.
Plastic puck?
Yeah, but then that never worked out. I feel like the plastic puck never worked out the way we wanted it to. But yeah, so I do remember sometimes using a tennis ball. I feel like we started with the tennis ball, and then as we got older, we started to use the plastic heavier pucks.
So what we used to do is we used to drill 2 small holes into a tennis ball, then light the tennis ball on fire so it burns off the hair. That's what we would use.
Wow.
By having 2 little holes, it stops it from bouncing so much.
Okay.
And then summertime, we used orange ball.
Oh, orange ball. That's what
It hurt like hell, though.
That's what we used. We used orange ball. That's
but you
what
can't
we
use
used.
it. You can't use an orange ball in cold weather. It hurts too much.
Yeah.
So you got to switch to the tennis ball. So the trick with the tennis ball was to obviously. And then, do you remember the goalie pat? Those things the targets used to put. Oh God, I love that game.
No,
you used to put the targets up in the. No. You didn't have them?
No, we didn't do that.
Synthetic ice. Have you ever skated on synthetic ice before?
What do you mean?
It's like a plastic sheet, but it's synthetic ice. You can actually run your skates on it.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my God. I should take a picture of this for you. Hockey is so big in Canada that one of my neighbors, in front of his garage, he has a pull-down sheet so his kids can shoot the ball and it doesn't mess up his house.
Okay.
And it's actually a thing.
Well, my buddy puts a rink in his backyard every year. I mean,
we have
do
rinks
stuff like that,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well,
okay. So you guys go pretty hard then.
And in the park, Bushnell Park, like the city park, I can go.
Yeah.
I can go ice skating all winter long.
Yeah, we got a lake about 5 houses down, like at the back there. We can go skate on. The neighbors cleared off with the shovels and stuff like that. So it's not too bad. But basketball. Did you play basketball as a kid?
Yeah, but I'm 5'6" and 3/4. Like, dude, yeah. So here's the thing: is I remember watching this kid Dwayne play basketball. I don't remember his last name in gym, and the gym teacher, one of the gym teachers, was standing right near me, and he was in 9th grade and I was in 7th grade, and I go, man, I wish I could play basketball like that, and he looked at me and goes, well, are you willing to put in the work? And then I started to go down to the park and play with the older guys every day. And I played a lot of basketball for like 3 years, and I got to be good. At a certain point, I was halfway decent. I was a decent point guard. And my best friend at the time was a really good basketball player. And we played a lot of basketball for about 3 years. So much so that I am proud to say that I owned a pair of Reebok pumps. It's true.
Ooh, I had pumps. Yes.
I had Reebok pumps, everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had a set of LA Gear light ups.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know if you remember LA Gear light ups. They used to light up when you walked.
Well, is that why they called them that?
Yeah, LA Gear light ups or whatever. But I had the pumps. I had the LA Gear light ups. What about Michael Jordan's? What about the Jordans? Everybody wanted the pair of Jordans.
I didn't have a lot of Jordans, but I definitely had Jordans. I remember one pair of Jordans, the black with the green highlights and the yellow, slight yellow and reds in there. You tried to play basketball. Hoy Division says she's only 5'3", so it didn't work out that well. Yeah, you Sly Smasher had the first Jordans. Too bad you didn't keep them and never wear them. They'd be worth like $1 million today.
Oh, they'd be worth so much right now. He's doing good though. Like Michael Jordan, one of the best athletes that's ever played a sports game. He's got a great attitude.
Terrible
he's
person.
never. Yeah, he's just terrible.
Just a terrible
yeah,
person.
just the worst. But you never
worst.
heard of anything bad about Michael Jordan, right? Like he was just a good dude.
No,
and he's followed that.
No.
What?
Michael Jordan's a degenerate gambler.
What?
And he was a bully. What are you
Get out of
talking
here.
about? Hey, did you watch the 10 episodes? Did you watch the 10 episodes of the documentary? Did you watch it?
No. What are you talking about?
God. You haven't watched the whole
You're painting this guy to be a villain. Are you kidding me?
Michael Jordan, the basketball player?
Yes,
He's
Michael
a terrible
Jordan.
person.
No, not Michael B. Jordan, the actor.
Well, thank God.
I'm
I think
talking Michael Jordan,
Michael B.
Chicago
Jordan's
Bulls.
an actual good person.
Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls,
Yeah, Michael Jordan,
was
Chicago Bulls.
not known as an asshole. Are you kidding me?
You haven't watched the 10-part documentary, have you?
Which documentary are you talking about?
The 10-part documentary, man.
Obviously, it must be fact and fiction. Is it in Narnia?
No,
Because it sounds like it is.
Michael Jordan's in it. He was the executive producer of it, where he talks about.
And he admits he's an a-hole.
Yes,
you know what?
yes, he's a degenerate gambler. Well, he doesn't talk about the gambling, but I mean, they do show him gambling back. But yeah, Michael Jordan, not a good person. He demanded
Michael
the most.
Jordan was a jerk, says teammates, but he helped to win championships.
See, Michael Jordan was a jerk. There you go. It's called The Last Dance. It's called The Last Dance.
It's called The Last Dance. I need to watch this. I've never heard. Like, is this? Yeah, before this documentary, did people think he was that bad?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure no.
Like,
one
did
thought he was a
you
good
know? He was great in Space Jam.
There's a new Space Jam coming out.
I know
With
there's a new
LeBron
Space Jam.
James, how do you feel about that? Your
I'm
childhood.
fine with
being
it.
destroyed.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
I'm okay with
It's
it, too.
about time. You know what? Like they're not gonna. It can't get worse. It already is. It already is a pretty bad movie, but
Yeah.
it's nostalgic because you know what it is.
That's one of those
So-
movies that did not age well. You watch that now and you're like,
You know,
oh,
this goes
screw
back
that
to the
movie.
celebrity that can do whatever he wants. Free pass. This movie gets a free pass.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I look at that movie and I'm like, oh, what a that was so much fun.
yeah,
Great
yeah,
movie.
that was fun.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it was. You want to know why it was a great movie? Because of one song, "Hit 'Em High."
Okay.
Oh, hit 'em high, hit 'em high. Remember that? Coolio and everybody was in there when they all had jobs and money.
Right?
And there was lots of stuff
Julio's
going on
got
back
his own
then.
cooking show on YouTube. He's doing just
Oh.
fine.
Coolio, he was a reverend, wasn't he? Don't they all become reverends?
I don't think Coolio was,
But
but MC
here,
Hammer was.
here's
MC Hammer
here's a
was.
fun fact about a celebrity that epically failed. So you guys know the J. Cole, the rapper?
Yeah.
He
yeah.
went down to Africa to
to try out
join
for a
a
team.
basketball league. Yeah.
Yep.
Once again, another video gets posted of him slam dunking, falling on his face, and guess what? He's out. He's not doing it no more. He's done.
Hey, he
So-
released an album that weekend too, so he was busy.
Bugs Bunny's rap does take the cake for that.
Yes, it does.
But there you go. Everyone, if you got money, like you know, Justin Bieber is now like a skateboarder. He skateboards a lot now, so he's trying to do all these things and get into that kind of stuff. So,
Justin
but
Bieber
what do you,
skateboards since when? Really?
he's yeah. You guys can have him. We've been trying to give them to you guys this whole time.
No. Apparently we took him, but we're trying
Did
to give
you?
him back. Yeah, I
Oh.
mean he's been ours. I feel like we took Bieber. Ugh, what an asshole! It's
You just give
he's
us
the
a bag of
worst.
pucks. Give us a
He's-
bag of pucks. You can
He's
have them.
the worst. He's just the worst.
I think that a lot of them get to their heads is what they think they can and cannot do. The J. Cole thinks he can go play basketball. Bieber
Well-
thinks he can do this. Jake Paul thinks he can fight. Logan Paul thinks he can fight.
I'll give
just
Bieber
because they have
one
money.
I'll give Bieber one thing on his. He did say one. He has one quote that I really. Well, two quotes actually that I dig. One, he said, "You know what? You give $300 million to a 13-year-old and you see what happens." And you know what? I can't argue with him there, man. You know what I just say? He's right, man. His dad was like 15 when they had him. Like his dad's barely an adult, and then they gave this family $300 million. They were bad stuff's gonna happen. Bad stuff's
I
gonna
don't
happen.
know. I think you're right. I think you're right. It doesn't really matter what you give someone for money. Look at what people are spending their money on. We go back, like I say, you go back to the Logan Paul and Jake Paul thing. We talked about that, me and you off screen, about how is it good for sports entertainment to have celebrities intermingle or famous people intermingle in sports that they technically haven't trained for? They might have just picked up recently or brought it as a hobby. I think that if it's a sanctioned event, they shouldn't be allowed. I think you got to work your way up. I don't think that these guys should be able to fight. What happened to the rules of UFC fighters not being able to fight people in case they get hurt? Like that seems to be out the window now. It seems like you can fight whoever you want now. So if we do see another one of these celebrity feuds, why can't it just be celebrities fighting celebrities? I'll pay for that. Like, would you not want to see some real celebrities fight each other? Like, I'd love to see, come on, Joe Rogan and Dana White fight. That'd be a great fight.
I don't. Yeah, all right, whatever. I'm not gonna pay money to see any of that.
Why wouldn't you want to pay money to see that? I'd love to see Dana White and Joe Rogan go at it. That would be a good fight because these guys are invested into the sport. One runs it. They pretty much both run it together.
Oh, Joe Rogan
they're
doesn't
both
run it.
Joe Rogan's jacked, dude. Joe Rogan's a big part of UFC. He is.
Okay.
I think he is.
Well, he's been around for a while. He's a commentator under contract.
Yeah, but that's still like it's like saying Michael Buffer's not part of announcing for the boxing world, right? Like just because he's under contract, Michael Buffer is a part of the boxing world, is he not?
Okay, by that argument, you're right. I can't, but yeah, sure. Okay.
I'm not saying that it'll kill if he leaves the industry, but I'm just saying that there are some people in there that I'd like to see that have been part of it for a long time go at it. Nothing like referees fighting.
Okay.
Imagine seeing two hockey referees just fucking skate to center ice and fight each other.
I would love to see that. There's nothing better when the two goalies meet in center ice. There's nothing better in sports than a goalie fight. When hockey goalies fight, good things happen.
That's right. See, Syndicate said it. Logan and Tyson, that would be a joke. But Logan Paul fighting Jake Paul, I'd pay money to see the brothers fight.
No, like I've said before, what this whole thing is coming to is the Paul brothers versus the Klitschko brothers in a tag team boxing match with a bear as the referee. I hope the bear's wearing mittens because if not, the bear wins.
And monkeys on typewriters, smoking cigars in the background.
They're just gonna write Tale of Two Cities again. It's already been written, monkeys. It's already been written.
Yeah, you're drunk, monkeys. Go home.
Seriously, I'm too drunk to taste this banana.
So this brings us to our next part. Is esports considered a sport?
Absolutely, it's the future.
Absolutely,
of sports.
It's the future. So, do you think that sports could eventually have as strong of a essence in the industry as doing it live? Do you think people would tune in to watch sporting games as much as they would watch real live sports? Thoughts?
Yeah, you know what, that is such a stacked question because at this point, no. And thank you for the follow, the nightlife. Appreciate you. At this point, no, but not sport games. You know what though? On ESPN, they do show the Madden tournaments and whatnot, and they do have the celebrities playing against people and whatnot.
Yeah.
And all of that. It is about money, Trusty Keg Syndicate. Everything is about money. Don't be fooled. But here's the thing: is League of Legends and whatnot, it sells at Madison Square Garden for 6 days in a row or 4 days in a row, whatever it is. I mean, those things are huge, and they are getting a lot. Some of these Rocket League tournaments get those kind of numbers. Are we and not in this country, but you know what? There is this whole other continent called Asia that we tend to forget about from time to time, where a lot of the entire world is located. And they love video games and they love gaming, and they have these huge tournaments all the time. And I feel like if it's going to happen anywhere, it would need to start there. So it's not going to be NHL 95 tournaments that are going to have 100,000 people watching it or whatever, 1 million people watching it, like the Super Bowl. But I think eventually will we get there? Absolutely, just not right now.
I'm hoping they get there. Like, I'm hoping we see some type of influx or there just seems to be more of a sense of there are even real athletes playing these games that are really indulged. What did we see the other day? We even saw a non-athlete. We saw Seth Rogen was playing Rocket League on Twitch.
Really?
And
I didn't know
that's a competitive game.
It is a competitive
one of my
game.
friends, Chocolate Star, told me, but Rocket League is a very competitive game. I know it's cars driving around hitting balls,
It's
but
soccer cars.
it is a soccer. It is a
Yeah.
soccer style game, and it is very big. And to see a celebrity like that sit down and play, I think it's kind of cool. To be really honest, it grounds it and shows it what it is, and it can be played anywhere. But I think there's a long way to go.
He's Canadian, by the way.
Wait till there's betting. Wait till there's just full-time betting.
Sport. That's what it needs. Video games need sports betting. That's what
Sports
it
betting.
needs. Sports betting.
Yeah,
you know what?
I
You're
could see
absolutely
that.
right. And there's been a lot of these TV shows that have put and not so much now, but a few years ago they really tried to throw esports at us in the form of putting a lot of people in a house and having them play video games against each other. And there's a bunch of shows on, and I watched them all. And they kind of went by the wayside, and I feel like we need to get back to a little bit of that. Maybe if some of these bigger teams like 100 Thieves and FaZe Clan and whatnot would do TV shows about their houses where they put all of these crazy people in and have them live. If they would do TV shows about that, maybe we would get there, because I feel like we will not get to a point where esports is that big until we get to a point where we care about the esports and know about the esports players. So we need to see, like, that's why the UFC became big. It wasn't until the finale of the first Ultimate Fighter, Forrest Griffin against Stefan Bodner. And you know what? You could watch that whole season and you could get to know those characters. And then a million people watch them battle it out live on TV. And that's when it became big for the UFC. That's when it became real for the UFC. So I think that if we start to care and know about these people a little bit more and learn a little bit more about them, see the behind the scenes, I think then you'll start to see it take off.
I agree with that. I think there's more of a buy-in. I think people always want to have an interest. It's no different than a streamer. It's no different than your favorite hockey player, baseball player, right? You follow them to the ends of the earth. You have their Instagrams or Twitters, but you're right. There's not a big emphasis pushed on showing the stuff out. Imagine seeing, I remember the movie, go back to the movie The Wizard, where you see that giant final of the three TVs set up, and the screen comes up and Super Mario Brothers 3 pops up and everybody goes nuts. We talk about high score competitions in arcades. That's been going on since 70s, 80s, late 70s, early 80s, about what's the company that holds all the high scores? I can't remember. I think there's a documentary on it, but there are, before we get to see this explosion that could happen across the next years of esports, this stuff has been going on for years in the background. It's just, you're right, nobody knows, because if you're not a part of that community, you'll never know.
I mean, I'm sure the 13-year-olds know, and you know what? As they get older, then it will develop. But this next generation is what's going to really make esports big. And we will get there to a point, but I think it's still developing. I remember when I was at ESPN, I said UFC is going to be the biggest sport in the world. Well, guess what? That was 12, 15 years ago. And just last year, John Butchergrass, Jason Jackson, Kenny Mayne, not Kenny. It was Steve Levy. And I talked about it on Twitter, because guess what? It is now the biggest sport in the world. So deal with that. Besides football, I mean, it's arguably at one week it overtook everything, and ESPN tweeted about how the UFC was on top, the top sport for the week, and I said, I told you this would happen 15 years ago. So that's all it is. These things need time to develop.
Let's not forget about our neighbors across the pond with the footy. Like, look what's going on. Look what's been going on over there for years. Look at the fan support about soccer. We call it soccer here in North America. Footy over there, right? Old football. And right now it's the Euros.
Right? I've been watching that. But you got the English Premier League breaking down, which which is just weird what's going on. I mean, but our problem is over here in the U.S. is our U.S. men's team is terrible, absolutely terrible. We can't get a team in the freaking Olympics.
It's like Jamaica's bobsled team.
Oh man,
It's just
John.
it's just actually I believe Jamaica's bobsled team is probably better than.
Well, they were coached by a
the
Canadian,
American.
so I blame you guys.
Oh,
John
well,
Candy was
it's
Canadian.
John Candy, man.
John Candy was freaking Canadian, bro.
Coach, I cannot get my helmet on. Thanks, coach.
What
But,
you doing, Coach?
You know what? That's one thing that I think needs to come back too. Is I go back to I remember as a kid being way more excited for the Olympics
Yeah,
in the
I agree.
in the 90s.
Oh, I
in the
agree.
90s, 80s, the Olympics was it was like a well-known
Sacred
event that
event.
was coming. It felt secret. It felt like there was 6 months lead up. I felt like
Yeah.
every restaurant had Olympic cups. Everybody was talking Olympics. People were walking around in two-piece tracksuits,
Olympic fever.
supporting it. Yeah, like remember Nagano?
Oh yeah, man.
Remember Nagano?
Salt Lake City.
Right,
Remember Montreal?
Salt Lake City, like these are the things that we're talking about, and this is where the emphasis has to come back on the sports and what it is. And there's a lot of good. There's some of the best hockey and best sports you'll see, like that. What is that? Skeleton bobsled, Winter Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez, that's insane.
Crazy
That's
stuff.
insane.
Crazy
It's
stuff.
crazy how fast they go and what the training they have to go through. So I highly suggest. When's our next Olympics? It's coming up, isn't it?
Well, we got some. We're
June.
supposed to have Summer Olympics next month.
Well, we don't think. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen.
And
though.
if it does, here's the question though:
That's
if it does happen, to what detriment? To what detriment? If it actually
Well-
does occur. But here's
Is
the
it-
thing: is a bunch of the volunteers, over 10,000 of the volunteers over in Japan have said we're not doing it. And they need the Olympics is run by volunteers, so I don't foresee it happening. And if it did happen, it might not be a good thing for the rest of the world. It may not be the
Well-
best thing right now.
We've got 2020 Beijing, 2022 Beijing,
Okay.
the Winter Olympics. So that's the next one that we should see some hype for. I'm going to tell you guys right now, there's a lot of Canadian guys coming out there with the snowboarding and the skiing. We're very proud of that up here in Canada. You get to see all that going on. So and you know what? I also miss the X Games stuff. That
Yeah.
was a lot bigger too. It was huge.
Well, Shaun White's a douchebag, and that he helped ruin that for a bunch of people.
Yeah, he did.
He
But-
did though.
But he did, yeah, he did. And then Rob Dyrdek tried to come back with that. He's got the skate thing going
Yeah.
on that they skate every year, which is cool, but that's still Americanized. It hasn't transformed heavily across the world. And like I said, there's a lot of, I want to call it, there's a lot of swords in the oven, but no one's really pulled the trigger to get back the Olympics.
Time out. Time out.
Come on.
Time out. What the hell is this euphemism, swords in the oven? Why would you ever need to put swords in the oven?
Well,
Where-
because you're making them. You're making swords. A lot
know-
of swords in the oven, but no one's actually made anything. That's what it's called. Like when you
Is
put them
that-
in the oven to
you-
make the sword.
Is that a Canadian saying? Is that
I
like a
don't
real
know.
thing, or did you just say that? Did you
No, I
pull
don't
that
know.
out of thin air? I'm just wondering.
No, I remember hearing that as a kid.
I've never
Swords in
heard
the
that
oven.
shit before. All right, continue.
Swords in the oven. Sorry, carrying on. Sorry,
Carry
thank
on,
you.
please.
But I just think that someone's got to pull a trigger. Everyone's afraid to pull triggers because nobody wants to spend money right now because of COVID.
Yeah.
Everything is done via. Can we stream it? Who's going to show up? What sponsors will we get? And I think as soon as this COVID thing they get a handle on it and everything starts opening up, I really do hope they bring back old events. More of an emphasis on what's going on. Like Jesus, you went to go play golf. When we used to play golf over here, you're not allowed to touch the flagpole in Canada. I'm not even joking. So when you go to putt, can't pull the flag out.
Okay.
So then these are the types of things that are changing, right? You can't go play handball with your buddy and go have shower. It's just it's craziness. It's craziness. Thanks COVID. Thanks for wrecking it all. Are you gonna play any sports as you get older though, or just golf?
No, I mean, is there any other sport as you get older to play besides golf?
Oh, beer leagues, softball, slow pitch.
No.
all that kind of stuff.
You know what? None of my friends have ever invited me to play in any of their softball leagues. So screw them. At this point, I don't think I'm athletic. I played the division. I walked onto the volleyball team in college, and I played on the lacrosse team for 2 weeks until getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning in college just didn't seem to make sense to me. and I walked onto the volleyball team as a setter, because one of my fraternity brothers bet me money that I couldn't do it. So I told him I could make the team, and I did. So at one point I was very athletic. I just now not so much. I do enjoy a good walk though.
I am glad you brought up fraternity brothers, because that segues us into our next show. Our next show, we're going to be talking a lot about school, what we were coming into, where we came from, some of the stuff that we got into, where we are,
Catholic
you know,
school.
how it's changed. School.
I went to Catholic school. Jesus
You went to
Christ.
Catholic school.
I went to a
Jesus.
lot of weird schools. I went to a farm school. I went to a farm school growing up. We had llamas and bunny rabbits.
Ooh, well, I can't wait to hear
yeah.
about this.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't wait to
buddy.
hear about all your friends from school.
Oh man, there was
They used to,
six
those
kids.
sheep used to say you were a bad boy.
We used to shear the sheep. We would have
Shear the sheep.
we would shear the sheep every freaking year, every summer or spring or whatever. These people, they would bring them to the tennis courts and shear all the sheep. Oh yeah, man. All right, yeah. Trust me. It was also during the summer. It was a camp. It was a summer camp during the summer, and it was a school.
Did you learn? Is it a band camp? Did you have a
No,
flute?
it wasn't a band
Anyways.
camp. I did
Yeah,
learn how to
okay,
play
it was
the nasty maraca, but it was not
Oh.
a band camp. No.
I hate how you called your Spanish teacher Nasty Maraca, but okay, we'll get to that later.
That's funny.
So, you know, like I said, in 2 weeks from now, we'll be back for our next episode. You
But-
guys be looking out for next week on Sunday. There's going to be the replay right here on Logan Radio Rocks. He does a replay of the show, and then also the Spotify. Sorry about last week. We had an error with the RSS, which is our what we upload the count to, but we got it out there for you guys. So you can check out last week's episode if you missed it on Spotify. You can also check it out on houseofhydra.com, or you can go into the YouTubes that we have in both of us. And there's always a way to find a way to listen to our show or see the show. So don't ever think about that you can't. I'm going to end here with, I just want to say happy Father's Day for everybody. I know that we did a Father's Day podcast here. We have had a great turnout today with the show, so we just want to say thank you for the ongoing support. We hope the shows are getting better for you guys. We'd love to take some suggestions going on. And don't forget, both me and Logan are actual streamers too, so you can check us out in both of our channels. We got twitch.tv, Logan Radio Rocks, and fb.gg/houseofhydra.com over at the Facebook. So I'm going to pass this off to Logan here to end the night, but come back in 2 weeks to talk school with us. Elementary, high school, college, you name it.
Elementary,
Logan,
my dear
take us-
Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson. Logan, let's take us out. Tell
All
us
right,
a little bit about what you got
happy
going on.
Father's Day to you too. I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming out. And if you are a father or you're a mother doing both jobs, happy Father's Day to you as well. I had two dads, so hey, that's interesting. But thank you very much to everybody for coming out today. Let's get out of here. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.